What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the LocoCast. I know, it has been a little bit. I've been kind of going through some things, and honestly, I've been down on motivation to record, but I've had a whole lot of motivation lately, and I want to start doing things better. I want to start being the best I can. And with that, it means the podcast. So you're going to get podcasts more regularly, but also more diversified. And the reason being is I have ADHD, so some things I tend to do are hyperfixate and also just not be able to focus on certain things. So honestly, for the past month and a half, I have had such a hard time kind of focusing on gaming because I was hyperfixating on cars for reasons. And so that was one thing that had me going like, oh, I want to record a podcast, but I don't have the motivation for it. But that is all changing now because I'm going to be doing more podcasts, but a little more diverse. We are going to generally have the main LocoCast, which will be gaming. Almost entirely gaming related. But then I will be doing a few other podcasts, such as The Things That Made Me, which will be going into why I like cars, how I got into horror, just all different things about me that aren't necessarily gaming related. They will go into gaming, or gaming will play a major part in them, but it isn't necessarily completely gaming related, but just a little bit about me occasionally. I will be doing game reviews, game previews, and I'm going to try this. I bring you no promises, but one thing I want to try doing is like a daily, just kind of on my mind. Even if it's just 5 minutes, it'll be recorded on my phone, so it will not have the best mic quality, but I want to try and do something like every weekday or something, if I can. Honestly, I make no promises, but I want to do the best I can. Basically, this is all starting as of what will be today that you're hearing this, August 1st. I'm going to completely revamp things, and I want to do better and be better. And I'm so excited for where I want to take this. So, let us get into today's main topic. You know, I've been playing a few things here and there, but really, the main things I've been playing, like I said, I've been hyper fixated on cars. So I've been hardcore playing Forza Motorsport, the newest one that released last year. I want to say it was like October, I believe. And Gran Turismo 7. And I would like to review them here. Now, what I did, I have different sections, such as the car list, track list, cameras, multiplayer, career. And I'm not going to do, here's all the Forza stuff, and then here's all the Gran Turismo stuff. I'm just going to do, car list, and go into my thoughts on each of them. And then at the end, I will say which I think is the better option. I will say this, I think both are very good. I will start by saying that. So, let's get right into it. First, I want to bring up the car list. This shouldn't be as bad as I'm about to talk about, but it is. So, I'm going to start by saying GT7, Gran Turismo 7, I'm going to be calling GT7, just out of force of habit, has a very nice and big car list. I really enjoy that about it. I am someone who enjoys cars that are much more about, here is a car I can go buy from a dealership. Or, this is a used car that I can buy for like $10,000, $15,000. I enjoy that so much. I have a 2013 base Hyundai Veloster. And in Forza Motorsport 7, they did a free pack that had, was it 2018? Hyundai Veloster N, I think that was the first year, and a 2013 Veloster Turbo. And it was really cool because, I was driving the Veloster Turbo and it's like, looking at the dash, it is the exact same as my car. And that was as close as I've gotten to driving my car in a racing game. And that was so cool, and I love that. I love that aspect. But that's also why I'm going to be a little down on something in this category. So Gran Turismo 7 has a fantastic list. There are a few notable exceptions. Like, why do we have, 10 different Corvettes? But there is, if I remember correctly, one Hyundai in the game. And this is just the easiest one for me to recognize because of having one now and looking at, the vehicles and games and that. I think it's just, the Kona N, and that's it. No Veloster N, no Elantra N, no 3.8 liter Genesis from back when it was still Hyundai Genesis. None of that. So there are some notable exceptions. I was like, I would think at least one of them would be in here and not just the SUV sporty vehicle. That's so weird to me. But I'm okay with that on account of the game has so many other car options. That's where we get to Forza. Forza is so much more stripped down on car choices, and I don't like it. I mean, sure, it has a Veloster N, that's great. But there are so little choices in the game compared to Gran Turismo, which is wild because this is the first Forza on new hardware. So they have had a lot of time. This is the second Gran Turismo on... No, this is the first Gran Turismo on this hardware. And they've had a lot of time. But Gran Turismo is doing it better. There are so many cars that I want to be in Forza. And I would look and be like, oh, wait, no, that's not here. 2013 Toyota 86. That is a staple in racing games. They don't have that, but they have the 2013 Subaru BRZ. Now, you might be saying, sure, it's the same car. It makes it. I always see games have both because they are different. They have very similar bodies, but suspension setups are very different. So I always see games having both. Forza doesn't have that. Forza doesn't have... Forza has a 2019. They don't have the new GR86, which is specifically built for racing. I'm just using vehicles I personally like because those are the ones I notice. But I just see the list in Forza is so little. Mitsubishi, I do not see many there. But this comes to one of my other problems. Added cars, I guess, is the biggest place I'm seeing this. Cars added after the fact. First, you need to buy them in Forza. Gran Turismo just will do, here's an update with 5 cars. And a couple balance fixes. Or in this most recent one that just came out a couple days ago, here's an update with 5 cars, a new track, and a bunch of other things. And it's just okay. Forza, what are you doing? But that also brings the other thing for me. I'm going to say 95% of the cars Forza has added are race cars. And what I mean by that is they're cars that are set to race in the GT3 racing league and stuff like that. It's racing cars like that, and that just doesn't do it for me. Because I don't want to race those cars. That's boring. The car list in Forza has seriously let me down. Well, next thing I want to talk about is the track list. Now, I don't have too much to say about this. GT7 has a lot more tracks. And some very varied tracks. It has everything from dirt and snow and gravel, and pavement. It's really neat. It's really fun. And there are a lot of tracks in the game. I don't know for sure off the top of my head, but if I had to guess, somewhere between 30 and 40. Meanwhile, Forza definitely does not have as many tracks. But one cool thing Forza does is it has more variants of those tracks. So you can have... I don't know if Forza has Watkins Glen. I was going to use that one. We'll say Daytona. Forza will have like 4 different variations of the Daytona track. Meanwhile, Gran Turismo has 2, I want to say. So it's like, okay. But you'll find a lot more variations. Also, Forza has a track. It's... I'm trying to remember the exact name of it. It's the Hakone track. Hakone is a place in Japan. And I love the track dearly. It is its own... Like, it is a made track for Forza. It's not a real track. And I love it. So it kind of has a leg up there for me. But Gran Turismo just has more tracks and a lot more variety. The next thing I'm going to talk about are the cameras. And you may not think that's super important, but I'll get to where it, like, why it is. Out of car, the Forza camera just feels more comfortable. It's not as stiff. The camera itself is a little more loose, and it feels more rolling with the car and less... I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. It's less stiff, is I guess just the best way I can come up word-wise. But then you have the cockpit view. It's downright ugly. I've played a bunch of Forza over the past, like, month and a half. And I love cockpit view, but I can't play Forza with cockpit view because the cars are just ugly inside. It's like they spent all the time focusing on the outside and then went, oh crap, we need to get the game out. We'll just leave it as it is. Because it's not even that they don't look great. It's downright ugly. And I can't believe it has that. On the opposite scale, Gran Turismo 7's, the out-of-car camera, like behind the car, it's okay, but it feels very stiff. Like, it feels like you're making hard turns in that. It doesn't feel like you're leaning with the car or that. It just feels like you're... It just feels hard and stiff. That's what she said. And I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of camera control. It just doesn't feel right to me. That being said, the in-car camera, the cockpits are gorgeous in this game, regardless of what car you choose. It doesn't matter if it's the cheapest car in the game or the most expensive car. The cockpits are so well done and look amazing. And that makes it even more important because there's one more specific camera view I want to talk about. And that's Gran Turismo 7, specifically the PS5 version, has PlayStation VR 2 support. And I will tell you right now, that is hands down one of the most immersive experiences I have ever experienced in a video game. The cockpits are gorgeous. It just feels right. When I started playing that in VR, I'm like, oh, I need my own cockpit setup because this is how I want to play games. It was incredible. And I love playing that way now. And it just feels right. I have got to give GT7 credit for being one of the most premier VR experiences I've ever had. And I love VR. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is multiplayer. I will put a couple asterisks in this. One of them being, I did not do any, like, multiplayer with friends or console multiplayer or anything like that. It was purely the, like... I only did, like, the featured online for both games, we'll say. But one thing I did see is I had such a hard time finding some multiplayer stuff in Forza. I just feel like the menus weren't the best. But I will say, Forza's multiplayer is so much better than Gran Turismo's. The online, it has probably around 10 races going on at a time. And the cool thing is each of those races has rotating tracks. So at least 3 tracks will rotate as it goes. So you can do 3 of that same race in a row and you'll get different tracks. And that's at least. I know some had, I saw one had like 5 or 6 tracks in rotation. And that was really cool. It lets you do multiple races in a row without feeling like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Like I said, there were probably about 10, and they rotate out. This is where Gran Turismo 7 just takes a massive dip in my enjoyment. It the exact wording I have here, downright sucks. There are 3 races at a time. And each race is a single track. And they rotate, I want to say weekly, but at the same time, I think the 3 races I've had right now have been there for like 2 weeks. And it sucks. Because you're doing the same 3 races on the same tracks for 2 weeks. That is ridiculous. The online, it's sport mode it's called, is just bad in Gran Turismo 7. Which is astounding because this game is supposed to be about playing online. That's just wild to me. But the last thing I want to talk about is the, like, career modes for both games, we'll call them. Forza has 4 main, like, tours, and each tour has 4 sets of 5 races. So, one will be, like... And this is another, I will say, this is another thing I will take away from Forza, is each set of races in tour mode is very minimal on what cars you can enter with, because you will go in and it'll give you a little video at the beginning being like, here are the 3 cars this is about. Your choice for these races is between one of these 3 cars. And I'm like, okay. And then you'll go to the next one, like, your choice in these races is one of these 5 cars. And then your choice in this next set of races is one of these 3 cars. It's like, it'll give me cars like, I don't want to drive any of these. There is a huge car list in this game, and you are forcing me to drive a car I literally couldn't care about. And that's one thing where I will give Gran Turismo's kind of like career mode, we'll say. It's just the like sets of races they'll do, FR Cup or German Cup or Japanese all-wheel 500. So you have to use a car with performance points under 500. But each of these things, you have so many cars you can use. You have so many choices. You can find a car you want to race. And that's cool. Forza does not do that. And it sucks. That's why I haven't beaten all the tours yet. Because I'm in a set of races right now. I've beaten 3. I've got 1 tour left. And I think I have 3 sets of races left. But that's because it's having me use cars I just don't care about. I don't want to race as these cars. I don't want to use them. I have no interest in them. But the only way to advance it is to do it. And it feels very boring and stagnant. Now, they will do a 5th tour, which is... It rotates. I want to say, usually it's kind of centered around, the newest cars. But occasionally they'll do, last week or the week before, it was a set of, here is... One of the sets of races is C-Class, one is B, A, S... and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that. Again, it gives you a wide range of cars you can use from. Why is that why is that a rotating tour and not one of the main ones? It just really bummed me out because there are so many cars I want to use in that game, And to do the, like, quote-unquote career mode, which is why I like playing the games, I can't use a lot of them. And that just sucked. Gran Turismo 7, meanwhile, like I said, it has those different, like, cups and that. And they have, I'm going to guess, maybe around 40-ish of them. And each set has, like, 3 to 6 races. I think there's 1 or 2 I saw that had, like, 1 or 2 races. But they're mainly 3 to 6 races. And there's also, like, a main career mode, which is menu mode. And it's set up as if you're going to a fancy, nice cafe. And you open the menu, and it'll be like, oh, here's this style here of kind of car and that. And choose one of these cars, and you can, do these 3 certain races. And then come back here and but for beating each of those races, it gives you one of the cars on the list. And then come back here, and then it tells you about them. But at the same time, you're doing the like cups that are already there. You don't have to use the cars that they're saying. Like it could be like, here's a series all about the Nissan Silvia, and you can do the races using not Nissan Silvia, but it's like giving you Nissan Silvias for it. And like, it's really cool because it lets you use what you want, and then afterwards there's like a little video that tells you like the history of the cars and why they're important, why they're in a racing game, stuff like that. It's really neat. But beyond just that, there's license mode, which is, I want to say practice mode, but honestly, it's pretty freaking hardcore. The one trophy is to get gold in all 50 licenses. I've got like 11 left, and I cannot get them for the life of me. I've tried. I there are a couple that the other day I spent like 6 hours just doing one over and over and over again, and I never got gold for it. It's breaking me. And like a mission mode where it has like, you want to do these certain things, and they have rotating each week. There's the weekly challenges, which is a set of 5 races, and it's really cool. There are plenty you can do in whatever you want, and I like that. It's really neat. Honestly, the game got me to love K cars. I would not mind getting me a Suzuki Cappuccino. They're legal now too. It just, there's a lot to do if you don't want to play online. Which brings me to the end of all this, where I've got to say, if you can only pick one, or if you were to only pick one and say like, I want the better of the two, I hands down say it's Gran Turismo 7. And I know some people will say, oh, you mainly play on PlayStation, you're a trophy hunter, blah, blah. I literally buy Xboxes for Forza. I have played every mainline Forza release. I've never been this let down by a Forza game. Just because it feels like there's just not enough. So, I've got to give it that. But, if online is like, your main thing's, oh, I want to play online with people, do not get Gran Turismo 7. Forza is your choice all the way. Gran Turismo 7's online is, like I said, the exact words, downright sucks. It's honestly astounding, considering how good the rest of the game is, that the multiplayer is just so bad. But that is everything I have for you this week. I will return next week with another fun little episode. And I'm not going to try and make episodes a specific length. I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but it's fine, whatever, I'll do it now. I'm not going to try and make episodes a specific length. If I have an episode that lasts me 15 minutes, so be it. If I have an episode that lasts me an hour and a half because I'm super excited or there's something special going on, so be it. I'm not going to, make something be a certain length. I'm just going to go with the flow and talk about what I enjoy. because I don't want to put something out there I'm not proud of. And that's the bottom line. I want to put something out there that at the end of the day I can go, I'm glad I did this. So thank you for listening. I will be back soon. Until then, follow me on Twitter at TheRealLocoLM, on Twitch at LocoLizardman, which I have a few plans coming there, including an entire change of my graphics, which should all be live by the time you're hearing this. Thank you. Oh, and follow me on Instagram at LocoLizardman. I'm on there much more often now, too. But yeah, thank you. And until next time, good night, listener. Good night.